Hiya folks, Scott here with you guys. I've got to talk very quickly because it's been a very exciting couple of days in the wrestling world, or at least it was for me. Royal Rumble last night, I thought it was an enjoyable night. The matches leading up to the Rumble, so-so. The Rumble itself, I thought, was stellar. Now, one of the matches that bothered me, Sheamus versus Orton. Here's the thing, I feel like this, and you know how I feel about Sheamus. We don't have to go into that again. But I feel like this was the chance that WWE should have taken in some way to make Sheamus legitimate. And they were talking him up. They were talking about him like he was big stuff. And he was actually getting a lot of offense and looking pretty strong. But then the DQ, which I assume is going to set up something between Orton and the Legacy Boys, that just, once again, blows Sheamus's chances of having any credibility. So that, to me, just seemed like a bad move. The Royal Rumble itself, though, very exciting. Some people didn't like it. I've heard some comments that, you know, there weren't enough guys in the ring at one time, which, you know, that's great when that happens, but this time, I felt the fewer guys in the ring allowed them to kind of tell stories, more stories within that match. I thought, and that to me was exciting. I was excited by the way they came in, the order. I just thought it was a very well put together Royal Rumble, pay-per-view, etc. I enjoyed the pants on the ground reference, always do, and then I sang pants on the ground in my head for the next 3 hours. But anyway, so coming off of that, I was very excited to see what was going to happen at Raw. Well, it starts out with Edge. Edge won Royal Rumble, obviously, which was, again, exciting for me. I didn't see that one coming. I didn't even say Edge's name in my Royal Rumble predictions video, which was pretty lackluster, and I apologize for the quality of that. But it was a big surprise. I really wasn't expecting Edge to even come back until Mania, and not even really compete until after the fact. I was buying the story that I'd been told. So, Edge comes out. He's not really acting that faces. He's showing a little vulnerability, which is nice. He talked about Jericho's comments, which sets him up against, you know, a really top heel, hated heel, or whatever. But still, not really embracing the crowd like a face would. Out comes Sheamus, says, "You better go back to Smackdown, fella," which is my Sheamus. And they brawl, and that was it. So that was a pretty standard opening. Not great, not horrible. Well, actually good. So let's just say that. So then we find out that all of the matches tonight are going to be Elimination Chamber match qualifying matches. First one up, Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I wonder who's going to win. Gee, that's not predictable. And then the next match, Jack Swagger versus Triple H. Once again, and I was thinking to myself, guys, if you're going to waste my time with predictable matches all night, I don't have time for this. I really have plenty of time for this. I don't really have anything else to do. Anyway, but then everything turned around. William Shatner performed the entrance themes to the Superstars, which was wonderful. I thought that was a good little bit. And then Shawn Michaels versus Randy Orton. Now, to me, that's a very exciting pairing. Two top guys. We don't see them, you know, going head-to-head. Recently, we haven't. So I thought this was a, you know, big-name match. Both guys really, I would say, are worthy of a spot in the Elimination Chamber match. So who's going to win? We don't know. They both look strong. Orton wins with a roll-up. Shawn Michaels is stymied yet again. Not only was he stymied last night, but now he is again. And he starts to lose it again. And so that's that. Mark Henry and Ted DiBiase. Do I have time? I'm watching very closely. Okay. Now, DiBiase and Henry, to me, this was like a wild card match. Because it seems like they like to have a guy like Mark Henry in these Elimination Chamber matches just because they need the announcers to say, well, I don't know who's going to, you really have to, So, and that's Michael Cole, exactly. If you could transcribe him. Yeah, so DiBiase. Here's my thing, and I assume this is going to set up a DiBiase versus Orton, or like I said, a Legacy Boys versus Orton. I think it should be either like a triple threat or something. I'm just not, I don't feel it with Ted DiBiase. And I know a lot of people really like him. A lot of people really think he's the next big thing. And maybe he is the next big thing. I just don't know if he's ready right now to be the big thing. I don't know that he has the presence or the personality or the, you know what I mean when I say that. When I shake my fist at you. But yeah, I don't know. But maybe something big will happen and everything will be wonderful. Yeah. So the next match, William Shatner in a funny skit, another good skit. I think William Shatner is the best host we've had in a while, and I love William Shatner. He Raw Match Negotiator skit that they did. He set up Punk and Gallows versus Big Show and Miz versus DX next week for the title, a triple threat tag match. Exciting, I guess. Yeah, that was exciting. Yeah. Although I do think Punk and Gallows, Teddy Long did screw them last week out of their shot. So they should have had a legitimate shot. So that would have been my pick. Kofi versus Big Show. This is another one. I could have gone either way. I could. Does anybody feel that Kofi has fizzled? That's the word I'm going to use. So you think Kofi has fizzled since his Orton? It seems like he peaked, at least in the short term. He peaked in his feud with Orton, and I'm not sure he is carrying the same intensity that he had back then. Obviously, people still love him, and I still like him, but I just, you really felt that it was going somewhere, and now I just feel like he's not quite... I'm speaking in riddles yet again, so do you understand what I'm saying? Do you think Kofi is still as on fire as he was back when he was first going after Orton, especially that Madison Square Garden attack? That was great. So anyway, Big Show accidentally hits the ref. Scott Armstrong comes out, says, calls for the bell, DQs Big Show. So we're left to wonder, is Kofi going to be in the Elimination Chamber match? I'm kind of wondering if that spot is going to be up for grabs in a match in the next week or so. I think we'll find out, and I think you'll find that I'm right. Or not, because I'm often... So anyway, then the magic happens. Well, I'm giving myself plenty of time to talk about the magic. I don't have a whole lot of time, so I won't take a deep breath. And so William Shatner Jerry Lawler calls out William Shatner, who calls out Bret Hart. This is like one of those Bible genealogies. King begets Shatner, who beget. Then we have, so Bret comes out and he says, look, last month, I came here for all the right reasons. And right now, and he came for all the right reasons, and they treated him horribly. So he says, this week I just want to talk to Vince. Now, I have to say, before we get any further, I will probably apologize for... I still think they kind of mishandled Bret Hart. They misused Bret Hart on the 4th. I still think there should have been more pizzazz, more bang. But seeing what happened tonight makes me feel better about what happened then. So, that said, that said, Vince comes out, and Bret says, he really kind of he says this thing about feeling pathetic. He talks about he felt pathetic when he was in his wheelchair and crying himself to sleep at night, and he promised himself he would never feel pathetic again, but Vince made him feel pathetic when he kicked him in the gut. So he now wants to kick or beat Vince's ass. He said ass 3 times. That's not TV PG, people. That's not appropriate. But anyway, he says he wants to beat him up. Well, Vince then starts berating Bret and makes fun of says he has no personality, says he has no, or says he is pathetic. He says he deserved to be screwed. And then he says he's not going to let Stu Hart into the Hall of Fame because Stu doesn't deserve it. Well, and Bret earlier said that Vince didn't deserve to lace Stu's jockstrap. Is that even possible? Do they make lace-up jockstraps? I don't know. Maybe in Canada. Anyway, so when he says he's not going to let Stu into the Hall of Fame, Bret goes a little crazy, starts to beat Vince up, right? is about to get him in the sharpshooter when out comes who? Batista. I should have known it was a Batista because it seems like he came a little bit late. And Batista seems to be a little bit, you know, he seems to make some mistakes every now and then, but we're just not going to get into that. So Batista starts to beat Bret up, holds his arms while Vince spits in his face, yells at him, and all kinds of stuff like that. And they talk about pathetic. Bret looked pathetic. My heart was breaking for Bret Hart at the end of this. It was beautiful in a horrible kind of way. And so, the crowd was chanting Cena, Cena, Cena. I was expecting Shawn Michaels to come out because I can imagine Michaels and Bret being kind of like an odd couple based on their experiences together. I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see where this will lead. I'm not the biggest Batista fan, but I think in the right circumstances, Batista can be an exciting performer. So anyway, I gotta go. We'll talk to you all very soon. Adios.